Go bold at boldip.com.
It's trying to go live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Bold Inventor Show. We made it with a little bit of a slow startup. Internet probably had a bit of a lazy summer style over here. And Matt, good to have you on our show.
Yeah, good to see you.
Good. You got your cabin?
I'm just checking in from northern Minnesota. All is well.
Good. That's
happy
awesome.
to report.
Well, for those of you who may be new to our show, we're attorneys here at Bold Patents Law Firm. A patent attorney. Matt's a trademark attorney, and we talk all things intellectual property, patents, trademarks, copyrights, and anything in between. We've got a
marriage, parenting, you name it.
We do talk on all sorts of subjects. We're talking about with a guest today about a cabin cool. You saw Todd Stave is waiting backstage. We'll bring him on just a little bit. I'm in need of some cooling. I don't know if you noticed, I told you I've got a garage office now, and my AC went out. And we heat wave through. It's triple digits. And yeah.
Seriously, is that hot?
It is. It's 100 today right now.
Wow.
103 later today, and 108 tomorrow out here in Moses Lake. So
wow.
Yeah. I'm doing outdoor activities. We're prepping for we decided to buy a above ground pool. Huge.
Nice.
So I've been leveling our lot. I was out with a John Deere 17P excavator yesterday.
Sweet.
I had such a good time. I
bet you did, man. It's like every little kid's fantasy, right?
Oh yeah.
Just moving dirt.
Heck yeah. But after about 4 hours, you just start. It becomes part of your arms. Like those. The buckets start moving, you start swinging the loader. Anyway, I had it all dialed in. So anyway, but it was hot. My wife she was awesome. She bring me waters, the electrolyte water, all that good stuff. But kudos to all those folks to do that day in, day out. Because that was actually quite a bit of hard work. Okay. Well, we got a good show today. No live viewers, but if there are any, I want to let you guys know that we have a disclaimer. We're attorneys, but we're not going to offer any legal advice today on our show, just legal information. And from that perspective, just make sure you don't offer up anything confidential. If you do have anything you want to share, I'll provide later a link to schedule some time with us. We offer a free 15-minute discovery call. And you're speaking with our awesome client rep, Dallas Richardson. And so I'll put the link in here right now so I don't forget. For anybody now or after the fact, you're welcome to use that link. And for taking the time to chat with us, to learn about the process, we'll give you a copy of this book behind me here, Bold Ideas, The Inventor's Guide to Patents. So we got a longer format show today, so we can do a nice deep dive interview in our next segment. Matt, do you have anything to kick us off with? Anything particular?
No, just just working from up north. A lot of interesting clients this week. A lot of really cool things going on.
Yes. Good. Well, without further ado, let's bring our guest on, Todd. Todd Stave, welcome to the show.
Hey there.
Hey, Todd.
Right. How you doing?
Great.
Good. Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Yeah.
Well, so I appreciate you coming on our show, and we haven't actually chatted particular what we're going to say, so there's no pre-rehearsed interview here. I like to kind of keep it as raw as we can and have you provide a nice background for our audience. We do have some live viewers on, and so anybody watching is welcome to ask any question of Matt or I or of our guest Todd. But Todd, I thought we'd just start from the top and maybe walk us through the genesis of Cabin Cool.
Yeah. So this was a project that was originally funded by the Department of Energy. There was a research grant that was given to the University of Maryland and a couple other national labs that participated in the project. And I'm not an engineer. I'm not. I have a bit of a background in mechanical engineering and physics, but I'm not an engineer by trade. I do understand that this sort of thing though. And what I am is a startup entrepreneur. And as part of the grant, the Department of Energy, ARPA-E, required the research team to find somebody to help them commercialize the product if it actually worked out in the lab. So once it got to the prototype stage, they needed to make efforts to bring it out of the lab and into the real world. And they're scientists; they're not business people. So I'm friendly with the principal investigator, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. And so he asked me if I would be willing to come on the team and try to commercialize the technology for him. The initial iteration was a personal air conditioning system that was supposed to sit in the room or be in a room near you and just blow cold air on you. And people loved it. I mean, when we first showed it to them, it was a big hit. And I did a lot of customer discovery, trying to figure out if there was a market for it, if people were interested, if people, how much could it possibly be worth. We were able to get a really good partner, a big manufacturing company out of Japan that was willing to help fund the industrial or commercial prototype. And ultimately, what wound up happening with that iteration of it was it wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to work because it just cost too much money to make the thing, and the price tolerance was not enough. I mean, we would think maybe that people would pay as much as $400 for it, at least in the United States, and we just couldn't make it for cheap enough for that to work out. So we started looking at other things and other ways to capitalize. The underlying thought and the underlying technology is that it takes a lot less energy to cool an individual person than it does the space that they occupy.
Got it.
Well, I mean, it makes intuitive sense, but think about it. What does that? I mean, maybe a fan, or there's not a whole lot of devices that are commercially available that cool individual people. So
I'm going to show the product real quick, or at least show the website, just so people know what this is. This is a picture of someone in sort of a cab of what I was just talking about, like excavator or a big heavy lifter.
Yep.
And it's talk to us. It's sort of a top-mounted box, if you will, up top here. This white box.
Yeah, it's just a small air conditioner. It's a small spot cooler, is what it is, and it's designed for industrial use. It's designed to be on heavy equipment. Yep. And it's designed to cool one person, not the space that they occupy, just that person. And so it works on equipment with enclosed cabs and open air cabs and tractors and anything that's got one person seated in the seat on a 100-degree day working outside in the sun. It's a godsend. I mean, people really like this thing. So, but it's a startup company. We launched this thing in March of 23, and we're just gaining some good traction now. And it's like any startup company, it just takes a little while for things to work out.
Okay, I got a bunch of questions up front on the funding and the grant side, and we kind of skipped over that pretty quick. But so it sounds like you were not actually on the upfront research side. You weren't the one to ask for the money, ask for the grant, right? You came in when they needed someone to bring it to market. Yeah. So that right. I was the intellectual property was owned by the university. Okay.
And the strategy. The preferred strategy when you're talking to outside potential investors and potential corporate partners is to form a corporation and then license the technology, the intellectual property, from whoever has it. And usually research institutions like universities are pretty generous about what they're willing to give as long as it's a credible plan and you continue to move forward. So you don't have to spend a lot of money up front. You don't have to have a lot of capital to do it. You just have to have a reasonably well thought out plan and the credibility, I guess, to execute on it. And the funding that was available was just to pay me for like 1 year, and then after
was it a professor that was originally that came up with this, or was it a team that invented it? Walk me through that.
Yeah, a brilliant guy, a mechanical engineer. He's incredibly well respected at the university. He wants to retire, but they won't let him. I mean, he's just one of those guys, and he's a legend there. I mean, he's fantastic. And
what's his name? Do you have his name?
Yeah, Professor is Reinhard Rademacher.
There we go. Dr. Reinhard Rademacher.
Rademacher. Yeah.
Rademacher. Cool.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a really cool name. All right.
German guy, if you would believe it. Yeah.
right? I think so.
Right. And he's graduated 50 PhD students in his tenure, and he's wrote a lot of books, and is very well liked and very well respected. And I'm pleased to call him a friend. I mean, I'm glad to be associated with him. So,
Do you have an idea as to the particular invention or patent? What about the cooling makes it unique from a everyday standalone AC? What was the breakthrough?
yeah, the initial iteration actually was kind of a little bit more advanced than what we currently have. The initial iteration was just like a little robot thing, looked a little like R2D2 sort of, and it just blew cold air on it, and it sort of tracked your movements as you walked around the area. So if you walk, as long as you were in like 10 feet, it would rotate, and the nozzle would pitch and everything. And all you really need to do is turn it on. It had a battery. You could plug it in if you didn't have enough battery, but you didn't need to vent the heat. It was the heat was the waste heat was dumped into like a phase change material, like a wax, and so you could actually keep the thing going, in a little small room, a little personal office, like the one I'm sitting in now, and it would just blow cold air on you. And then when you were done, you could put it in reverse. It would reject the heat into the air, but not much, because once again, it doesn't take a lot of energy to cool a person. So it's like 2 light bulbs worth of heat, for a couple of hours. It wasn't that much. And then be ready to go the next day. Once again, that part of it, unless someone was willing to pay $700 or $800 for the thing, it just wasn't going to work out. It just was too expensive to make. The cabin cool system just blows the hot air right out the back. So it's just a regular air conditioning system, but it is unique in its form. It is unique in its use case. It's we are in the process of getting utility patents for that, because there's really nothing like it on the market right now. So,
right.
It's an interesting situation that we're in.
Yeah.
Now,
Go ahead, Matt.
Oh, Todd, I was going to say, now is what is unique about the product essentially that it's a standalone AC unit that can be attached to a cab pretty easily? I mean, a lot of those AC units that come from factories are integrated into the engine system, right? Maybe off the crank pulley or something like that, right?
Mobile equipment or cars, trucks are usually mechanically driven compressors that are that are belt driven by the engine or whatever. In the electric vehicles like Teslas and that sort of thing, they're electric, very much like what we have now. So, that sort of technology, I don't think you could really get any patent protection on as far as the electric vehicle is concerned. But nothing. First of all, it's very uniquely designed as far as how it's
in terms of its packaging.
Yeah. I mean, just the layout of the interior of it's fantastic. It's very simple and elegant, but also the use case, the fact that it's a spot cooler for this particular, there's no spot cooler of that size, I don't think, anywhere out on the market. It doesn't generate a lot of cooling. It doesn't have to. It's just enough to cool you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. With respect to the university and the Department of Energy actually sort of driving the market in terms of wanting to enter into the market, finding a way to get to offer this, I imagine they had to license back the technology to the university to continue that study. It's typically how things go, where the research group will get a license to continue using the technology.
Now, the university actually has the intellectual property. The Department of Energy doesn't. They just made the grant. But the condition of the grant was that they had to make efforts. The research team had to make efforts to find a business partner who understood how to start a company around the technology and try to bring it into the real world.
Oh, so the university still owns all IP, and they're actually the owner of Cabin Cool?
No, they're not. Cabin Cool is a spinoff, and once again, we licensed this particular use case from them. So, and we actually own it now. So that's the university has nothing to do with it anymore. But we're working on some other iterations that the university still has the overriding intellectual property, intellectual patent, and if these other iterations, one is for a unconditioned warehouse or factory space. Another one is a personal cooling system, but it doesn't track you. It's more of a the most expensive part of the The first iteration was the exterior plastic. It was just going to take a lot of money to make the molds and fabricate it. So if we make it less attractive and just put it in a box or a cooler and stick it on the floor next to you, we can probably get it down to where you're willing to buy it as far as pricing is concerned. So
Got it.
we're working on those things as well.
Yeah. So you're doing the hard part, which is taking the technology and trying to make money with it.
Right.
So what have you put in place? What plans do you have to do that for this particular, portfolio of technology?
Well, so I don't. You can come up with a great plan, and then the road down that path is usually very curvy. I mean, you take advantage of the opportunities that you're presented with. You overcome the obstacles that you need to overcome, and you make adjustments based on what the results of your efforts are. And so, initially I was hoping that cabin cool would be something that after we got some reasonable amount of traction, we would get interest from other companies that make air conditioners for, like, say, RVs or other mobile boats or whatever, other mobile cars or whatever. And that still might be the case. But it's looking more and more like the equipment. Some of the larger equipment dealers have an interest in sort of keeping this away from their competitors, and they may eventually step up. We're not quite ready yet. I mean, we're just barely making money with it. So we're doing all right. I mean, it's the fact that we're making money at all in year 2 is reasonably good, and we're happy with it. But we need to generate more volume and more interest, and it's taking some time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any signs of infringement? Anybody knocking it off or that type of thing?
I don't know. The answer is maybe. I saw one device, a concept of a device, and I've never actually seen the device itself. So I'm still looking to see if someone's actually knocked it off or tried to knock it off, or I've got my eyes open for it. Nothing that's actionable at this point. I'll put it that way.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, we talked patents. Matt, any comments on trademarks? I mean, cabin cool as a mark.
Todd, you don't have a trademark application out there, do you?
We don't.
Yeah, it's probably descriptive, right, of a cabin cooler, right? Take 2 different descriptive elements, put them together, you get a descriptive trademark. So probably not worth investing in a trademark application just yet. But I didn't look at the website yet. But do you have a nice logo?
We have a logo.
Let me take a look here.
Sure. We have a logo.
I did look at this one the other day. Yeah, you could register the logo, the double C, with the air marks. That could be registerable. You probably have to disclaim the words cabin cool. Cabin cool is probably descriptive of the trademark product itself. But the logo could certainly be registered in either color or black and white. Yeah, it's very cool. And you mentioned it's electric, the motor itself.
Well, everything is electric, yes.
So does it just draw electricity straight from the alternator battery setup?
That's right, and very little, 275 watts. And once again, we're not cooling a lot. We're just cooling you. It doesn't take a lot of energy to cool just you.
Right.
It takes a lot of energy to cool the room, your house, your office or whatever, or your garage at 108 degrees, but it doesn't take much to blow cold air on you. And we can take the ambient air and reduce the temperature by about 25 degrees Fahrenheit, which is, even on the hottest days, that makes a big difference. If we blow it, that kind of air onto your sweaty forehead or your neck or whatever it is, it makes a huge difference. Yeah.
Very cool.
Awesome. Well, what, the next 6 months, if things went perfectly, like magical, what would those things be, kind of breakthrough things for Kevin?
And we started producing them in volume, I would probably go out and start looking for someone to buy the company or buy the design or buy the intellectual property. This is private equity funded. These guys are, they put some money into it, and they've been pretty patient with me.
Motion detected at
Sorry
some
about that. And the there, if we can get an exit, we would. If not, we'll keep it going and we'll generate money and eventually get there.
Yeah, no, tell you what, your product would look really good in John Deere green.
Yes, it would. And that's exactly you're understanding where we're going. So
yeah,
I think it'll look better in Caterpillar yellow, and that's those are the dealers.
What about Kubota orange? I mean, we're or New Holland blue.
Right.
Yeah, I see where you're going. It's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, for those that are listening, that maybe are not not yet started down their path yet on intellectual property protection, I know you kind of came in with portfolio already started, the technology already created, but hindsight over the past year or two, what are some things, some moves, some things you'd recommend doing differently? If you were going to offer some advice to someone doing the same type of thing.
So I did have the advantage of having the university take the first, and relatively expensive steps to get that ball rolling, at least initially. I mean, on the Cabin Cool product itself, or the investors, I should say, they put the money into getting that worked out. And it's been a long process. We still don't have, it's still patent. We've got an application out there and we haven't received a patent number on it yet. I expect to get one, in the next few weeks. So it's been long enough and it's, that sort of thing. But you're not going to like it, is my advice. There's a lot of good ideas out there that need to be shared collaboratively. And this is not the only research group that I work with. There's other ones as well. And oftentimes the principal investigator is afraid to disclose, information or share how the thing works or who his customers are or what the use case is. But you can't do it by yourself. And these are brilliant people who have spent their lives trying to make something that works, trying to invent new things. It's not that easy to knock off. And so initially, I would say to whoever is trying to start a business around the technology, don't be too afraid of being, ripped off. Don't wait too long. If you got a good idea, understand you're going to have to invest the time and money into at least filing a provisional application, but don't be too afraid to talk to people. It's much easier, if you've got a good idea for people to work with you than compete against you, at least initially, until the thing is proven to work.
That's great advice, Todd, and I agree with that. I mean, it's the rare individual who can be both a successful inventor and entrepreneur, and then be expected to be the inventor, the inventor of record, and then essentially also be the director of marketing, graphic design, website development. I mean, all that sort of stuff that goes into creating a successful product.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I walk into the room, I'm usually the dumbest guy in there, and it's fine. I don't mind being the dumbest guy in there. I know things that these other very brilliant engineers and scientists, they don't know, or if they do, they don't have the patience for it. So they need people like me to help them through the process or just do it for them, which is most of the time.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, Todd, thank you so much for sharing your story with Cabin Cool and sharing the insight there to not be afraid, right? Not be so paranoid or caught up in keeping everything confidential that you miss out in collaborating, like you said, actually solving the problem in a way that might be outside of your own knowledge. So I think that's a really good point you made. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep you backstage if you'd like. You're welcome to hang out. We're going to go to our next segment, which is answering some questions we got throughout the week. And then we'll do a bold bite where we do a critique of a Shark Tank pitch. I did find one related to air conditioning, but it's quite a bit different. So you're welcome to hang out, but if you got to run, we understand. Thanks a lot, Todd.
I'll hang out. If you need me back, just let me know.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks, Todd.
Okay.
So cool. Yeah, I could use one of those back of my John Deere. I was working yesterday.
I bet.
It's not a closed cab, though. I mean, it's such a small little thing. I was impressed. I was able to get it on my side yard. I only had a 4-foot gap, and the tracks scooted in. I was able to get it right into the backyard. It was great.
Very cool. I'm proud of you, man. Proud of you.
Appreciate it. Oh man, you're doing some renovations too. Did you finish your thing upstairs? Is that all
We
done?
did. Yeah, it turned out great. Although I didn't have to ride any machinery to do that.
Yeah. Well,
Just had to ride on my knees for 3 weeks.
all right. Let's see what questions we had come in.
Sounds good.
I'll check our repository here. Things do slow down a little bit in legal world when vacations hit, 4th of July.
Yes, they do. It's been a slow couple of weeks here around the 4th.
Yep. I do have 2 open questions here on trademarks. Let's put you on the spot here. All right. Someone wants to use as sort of an acronym for friends. Okay. So here's the whole question. Can I use a play on the FRIENDS logo? Uh-oh. I just set up my limited company. I'm starting my own aesthetics company. And as my name is Rachel Green, I want to use Aesthetics for Friends by Rachel. What do you think?
On the Friends logo.
Be an infringement of the Friends, I assume the Friends TV show. It's a different to the original logo to make it lawful. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, generally not able to do something like that. If you're kind of playing on somebody else's logo, that's going to be considered trademark infringement, maybe by dilution potentially. Potentially there, I put that with a caveat. But at the end of the day, parody use of a trademark for commercial purposes is never going to be deemed appropriate by the USPTO or by a judge or jury. So I recommend getting away from that. Now, if you're ambitious, kind of be a smaller company, kind of fly under the radar, maybe you can get away with it without a trademark application. But my 2 cents are, if the logo looks something similar to what's previously been registered for the Friends TV show at the USPTO, which undoubtedly it's got to be registered, you're probably going to get a likelihood of confusion, especially if somebody kind of sniffs out the fact that it's a play on the existing logo. That would be my take on it. I gotta also think too that it was esthetician. Is that what it is? Kind of the services she's doing. Aesthetics. What's an aesthetics company? Well, estheticians. I don't exactly know what the services are here, but you'd want to do a formal search at the USPTO to see if anyone else has done anything related to friends, anything kind of like that. Because at the end of the day, you might be playing an acronym. The USPTO is probably going to want to know what that acronym is. But if there's no actual acronym there, then it becomes just is the trademark similar in sight, sound, and meaning to previously applied for trademarks at the USPTO. So you probably get an office action if there's anything related to friend previously registered in this particular class of services. But I'm kind of curious what an aesthetics company is.
I don't know. Let's say it's maybe hair ties, or I don't know. I'm thinking of jewelry or some sort of.
I'm not much of an aesthetic guy, so I don't really know. I don't really know what that is.
I don't know either. Okay, if anybody from the audience has an idea, let us know. We got 14 live viewers.
Oh wow, that happened quick.
I know. Let us know if you guys have any thoughts on that. Help us out. It's
a hard maybe.
Hard maybe. Okay. So even if you're not on the television, space, it's in a products, goods.
Yeah, it's a different class, right? But it's still parody, and the USPTO is not too keen to register those kinds of trademarks. They're going to throw up roadblocks if they can, especially if they recognize that it's the Friends logo you're playing on. So, yeah, all right. I'd be curious to see how that one shakes out. And obviously, if the individual's interested, happy to chat with you, get more in depth, put together a proper opinion letter, do a search report, and figure out whether or not it's actually worth investing the money in the application in the first place.
Perfect. Excellent answer. All right, I got one here coming up. This is patent infringement related. Excuse me. Can someone be sued for patent infringement? Yes. If the defendant was paid to make the invention, but didn't. Paid to make the invention. I have 10 patents related to alternative energy. I think it's supposed to be a comma, perhaps. Soon after I filed the first applications, the government created several grant programs offering to pay fossil fuel companies for research on the inventions. I was a finalist for one grant, but not given any funding. Several $100 million were distributed. Only a couple companies actually made the invention. One claims to have made a cup of ethanol, but then closed the plant built with government money. Interesting. Sounds a little bit conspiracy-y.
Yeah, I got some red flags going up here.
Yeah, let's see. Let's kind of break this down. So, patent infringement requires there to be an underlying patent granted. So, in order for there to be an infringement of a patent, you have to have a granted U.S. patent. Let's start there.
Which they don't have, which this individual does not have.
It does not sound like they do. The sentence about I have 10 patents related to alternative energy. Well, if you do indeed have 10 patents related to granted patents related to a certain energy, whether that's the chemical through actual composition of matter, or if it's a method to make or produce energy, so on and so forth, those are granted rights. And yes, it's very feasible for those to be infringed. And the government may step on those. The government may be liable for infringement. Okay, they may, whether it be knowing or unknowingly, it doesn't matter. It still could be infringement. But I'm assuming a lot here. If the government's looking for, offering grant money, things like this, I could see, them wanting a certain solution. Perhaps that one or maybe some set of that solution is solved by a patent that's already been issued. And so the government could be perhaps looking for an alternative solution, alternative technology to be able to, bring that type of efficient fuel to market. So I don't have a whole lot to go on other than to say it's very possible that there is infringement. To determine infringement, you have to look at the actual claim language and the infringing method or specific product. And it's an element by element analysis to see whether each and every element of that claim is met by the infringing party. So it's a really tall task in many cases to see true infringement happen. So if you have any more questions on that, if you have the actual patent number, we can pull it up. I'd love to have that a little more dialogue. So click that link and schedule time with Dallas, see if we can help you with some patent infringement. Todd Stave has commented. Please comment on the IP protection of graffiti artists who paint something in a public place.
Todd's asking for a friend. Todd doesn't strike me the kind of guy who goes around spray painting at night in a hoodie.
No.
I don't know. Do you know, JD? I would assume that they have copyright in the art itself, but they're damaging somebody else's property, which probably, I don't know. What do you think?
Let's see. Copyright 101, is so long as it's an artist's original expression.
Yes.
Fixed in a tangible means. I believe that is it. So,
yeah.
That means maybe transitorily, in terms of its, permanence, right? The owner could slap it right across it. In that moment, it's fixed. And so certainly could be captured by a photograph, and then it sort of is transformed. That art does belong to the artist, the creator. So
right, but they don't get like artist rights just by putting a tag on somebody else's wall and saying, "Hey, you can't take that down. That's my property, right? That's my art on that wall, on your wall."
Yeah.
That's trespass, right? So there's got to be some sort of give and take. I can't imagine that.
Yeah, so I think so. Here's how it would work. I think maybe legally is the copyright is owned by the artist, but because they don't own where it is fixed, they, by law, have to assign ownership to the actual owner of the building as soon as it's created. So they're the artist, but they give their rights immediately because they don't own the canvas that they're painting on. How about that?
Right. Yeah, I think that sounds fair in my mind. I would say, like, if somebody tagged your garage in your house, right, you own that graffiti because it's going to be your responsibility to clean it up, right?
You're the artist. Thank you. Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, I think that's interesting.
That's an interesting, that's an interesting scenario that I've never had to consider. Thank God.
Well, there is that super famous guy.
Banksy.
There you go.
Banksy. Yeah.
He gets super special status, right? He's even able to get registered trademarks.
He's even able to get registered trademarks. He gets to graffiti wherever he wants and make whoever's make millions of dollars on it. So, yeah.
He's the original OG when it comes to that. Maybe he gets extra privileges for being the first mover.
Sure. Yeah. Good question.
All right, I got a long form question here. This is out of Reddit. These are always lengthy, but they're always good.
Yeah.
Let's see how far we can get. All right. I got the back door open. Sorry for some background noise. We got the neighbors. They got a little swimming pool.
You got the swimming pool. I got the lake noise out back here.
Right. All right, let's do this first part. I previously filed for a trademark a few years ago. It was $500, and the offer was rejected for an ambiguous description of the logo. The government said they wanted me to pay another $500 to resubmit it, and I couldn't afford it at the time. Flash forward a few years, I've been using the mark commercially. The other week, I got a call from a sketchy Indian guy, telling me someone else has filed for my mark, and they can stop it if I pay a large chunk of money, a portion of which is opposition. I play along because I'm curious, but this guy gives me the number of a guy who apparently wants to file it, and I talked to him first. Another guy who knows absolutely nothing about the name of the mark. Is this a scam? So my beliefs are this is a scam.
This is definitely a scam.
Okay.
So yeah, in the last 6 months, these types of scams have become rampant. I've been at this for 13 years. And clients used to always get these official looking letters from the WTP, whatever the heck that is, right? They're all scams. And that was, distracting enough for most trademark clients, but now they're actually getting calls from caller ID USPTO from an examiner claiming they owe additional money, which they don't. So this is a scam.
Okay.
If you are represented you would know that, especially if you had an attorney, because if you're represented by counsel at the USPTO, no one is allowed to contact you. In terms of the government, other attorneys, anything kind of like that, because you're represented by counsel, so you don't get bothered by these folks. Yeah, it sounds like that's a scam. You did the right thing. Just ignore it. Play along if you want, but don't pay any money.
Okay. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, I'm also kind of curious to hear more about this $500 they paid for the application and the extra $500. Those numbers don't make a lot of sense to me because the government fees are never $500. They're typically $250, $100, $100, $125, $150.
So I'm just trying to filed originally in the correct way.
Yeah, it sounds like it was. Sounds like they probably would have saved money hiring an attorney to file it.
Okay. Bold Patents helps you with trademarks as well. Even though we're Bold Patents, might as well be Bold Trademarks. So Matt, you handle that for inventors, and of course anybody who's even if you're not an inventor, any business owner looking to get their brand trademark registered.
Yep, worked with thousands of clients at this point in my career.
Last question here, another trademark one, so keeping you on the hot seat.
I love it.
Understanding a trademark becomes yours when you're the first to use it in commerce. However, I'm confused as to what this means. They're saying that first use in commerce is when a mark is used between states or foreign countries. It also states that first use anywhere is when it was used anywhere, including locally. Help us out.
All right. So this, in my opinion, is almost a distinction without a difference. So they are correct. In the application form at the USPTO, you are required to fill out two separate dates of first use. First use anywhere, and then first use for interstate commerce purposes.
Okay.
By and large, they're the same date in my mind. I don't see any difference or benefit to having two separate dates, other than just causing confusion at the USPTO and during litigation. So your first use date is when you offered the product or service for sale in the United States or internationally for that matter. Yes, you could have, a sale or an offer for sale that does not constitute interstate commerce. But by and large, in 2024, if you're offering for something for sale online, which 99% of clients are, then that is interstate commerce. So they're essentially the same date. USPTO doesn't care when you first used the trademark. They care about when you used it in interstate commerce.
Okay.
Now, you can have a lemonade stand on the side of an interstate, and that would be interstate commerce. Whereas maybe if it's on, your neighborhood road, maybe it's not interstate commerce, right?
Right.
But then if you put up a website advertising for the lemonade stand, it becomes interstate commerce.
Okay. There you go. You answered it. You got it. So small restaurant that you don't have a website at all. Maybe you've got a local use. A first.
Maybe you got a local use if you're far enough away from a road, right? And you don't do any digital advertising. Maybe that doesn't constitute interstate commerce. But I gotta tell you, in like the 13 years I've been doing this, I can't think of anyone who didn't have some proof of interstate commerce, right? Who was actively selling a product or service.
So you see, almost always those dates are the same.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Yep.
Very, very good.
In my book, they're the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you answered quite a bit there. Thank you, Matt. We're going to jump to our next part of our show, our bold bites. And we're going to do a critique another air conditioning product. This is called the BedJet. The BedJet.
Okay. Go on.
Keeping it real clean here, for sure.
I'm curious what this is, the BedJet. All right.
For sure. So I'm going to share my screen here. We'll switch over the audio. Let's bring Todd back after we look at the clip and get his take on it. He sounds like a good startup business owner type. See what he thinks about their pitch.
Yeah, I bet he's got experience sleeping too. To which qualifies all of us, I guess.
Yeah.
To comment.
Yep. Oh, I got to switch this part. Hold on.
Yep.
Been a couple of weeks here, folks. Settings.
Hey, I know. We get it.
Oh, good. I think I'm actually all set up. Let's check audio real quick. Whoa, how was that? Use file.
I didn't hear anything. Try again. Yeah, we're good.
My name is Mark.
Yep.
We're good? All right.
Hello, Sharks. My name is Mark Romley. I'm from the beautiful city of Newport, Rhode Island. My company is BedJet, and I'm seeking $250,000 for 10% of the company. The BedJet is the world's first ultra-rapid and affordable cooling, heating, and climate control system designed just for our beds at home. Simply place the base unit under the bed, hook the nozzle into your bedding. We give your bedding that luxurious hot towel just out of the dryer feel in only 3 minutes from the touch of a remote. Remote controls include our intelligent smartphone app. You can even program a BedJet alarm to wake you up in the morning with a cool blast of air. Now, the BedJet pays for itself. Why heat or cool the whole house or even bedroom at night when all that matters for those 8 hours is the temperature between the sheets? Sharks, that's the BedJet. If any of you still have cold feet on joining the team after what you've heard, that's okay. We'll warm them up right over here.
We try it?
Yes.
Mark, how much noise does it make?
It's quieter than any fan. It's quieter than any room air conditioner.
I'm in bed with Mark.
It's about the same level of your household HVAC register.
Move over, buddy.
Wow, is that a water mattress you have there?
No, we are just sending air instead. It gives us a little popping. Wait, there's more. 50% of couples have different sleep temperature preferences. He likes it hot. She likes it cool. There's always a fight over the thermostat. The BedJet has dual zone capability.
What's it like, Lori?
My side is hot. I feel
it's cool.
here,
It
right?
feels good on my feet, but the question is, how do you hook it up?
We have a nozzle here. If we're going to do dual zone, we
So
plug it
there's
into
a
this
special sheet, right? So you put a special sheet there that has the hole at the bottom.
only for dual zone.
But single zones, right? Just
Single
one.
zone, we just have this little guy, and you've got the sheet thrown over him, and he's
Okay,
sending.
so that just pops on the edge of the bed and it just blows out cold or hot air.
You got it.
That keeps it simple.
So
But
it's
also, too, is there two different attachment hoses?
there's two machines, so you've got another one installed on the other side.
You set a timer so you can
Okay, so
cool
we
it down
have
for 10 minutes. It turns itself off.
So we have auto shut-off timers, which are variable depending on whether you're heating or cooling.
Prove to me the market cares. Yeah, let's talk about the economics. Give us your sales.
Okay, we are going into production in 6 weeks.
There are no sales. I can see Mr. and Mrs. Slabinski walking in to buy a new mattress, and Mrs. Slabinski says to Mr. Slabinski, honey, what's that BedJet there? And he says, wow, it says it heats or cools our bed. And she says, honey, let's get it. And he says, how much is it? And he goes, $500. They both have a heart attack and they leave. Do they?
Mark, ignore him.
You're going to fail. You've overpriced it because you're a pig.
We're supposed to be talking
Mark,
about
I have a
what the
simple
mattress
question.
manufacturers.
Why did you
Mark, if you don't
make this
listen to me, I'm
product?
going out.
That's a really good question.
I'm out.
Because you don't believe you can
No,
sell
I
me.
asked him 5 times to answer my question. He ignored me, and now I'm out.
I'm very, very
Sorry.
sorry, Lori. It's hard to keep up with all the
I
questions.
get it, but I was shouting.
Could you please ask the question again? I'd be happy to answer it.
No.
I think it's a cool product, right? What I have a problem with is that when I asked about the technology, you kept on selling. I just don't like the vibe. I just don't think you have all the pieces yet to go forward. And so for those reasons,
Mark, you mentioned clearly that this is intended, targeted to the premium mattress buyer. I don't think you have something that's going to sell well here. I wish I believed it, but I don't amount.
Okay, thank you.
I see catastrophe. The product is dead already. I'm out.
I don't have a problem with your price point. I think the machinery is remarkable. I mean, I love machinery. I love mechanical stuff. Here's where it fell apart for me, though. You know, Mark is right. Whenever you were asked a question, you went into
Sales mode.
publishing it, and you went into sales mode. I think I wanted more. I didn't get more. I'm out.
Thank you. Lori, can I ask you what your
All right.
Wow. Really struck out hard there, didn't he?
He did. The Sharks did not bite. They all passed on it. At first take, I don't know. Yeah, he's trying to sell it. Maybe there was more to that show that, obviously wasn't aired. Maybe he was asked more detailed questions. As it turns out, they have an incredible set of IP. He has over 10 patents granted. Maybe this this was after the film. Yeah, he's got. Here, I'll show real quick. They've got.
Yeah, I don't think it's a terrible idea. If it's geared towards, women in particular, I think the aesthetic, to use that word, to go back to the word aesthetic, is way off, right? My wife would never go for that machine at the base of the bed, right? It looks like a CPAP machine, which nothing wrong with CPAP, but it's just not what she's going for in the bedroom, right?
Right. Yep. Well, I think, it's interesting. I like how we kind of brought it full circle with respect to the cabin cool where, hey, we're not trying to heat up the whole environment, right? I liked his angle of trying to heat the whole home. It's just the bed. So it's not necessarily, a bad angle in terms of sale. Let me bring Todd on see if he has any additional comments, reactions there.
Yeah,
Hey, Todd.
I did a lot of customer discovery on this topic. So his price point might be a little rich, maybe. I don't know. I probably not. I mean,
have you seen how expensive mattresses are these days?
Well, yes and no. I mean, a good memory foam mattress that comes by UPS is $1,000. They're not that expensive. But listen, I've got the same reservations as the Sharks. How does it work? Because in a package that small, I have a hard time believing, that it's going to work. And then the other thing is, when you're talking about human comfort, I'll tell you, your skin is 95 degrees. So if you can blow air on your skin that's 80 degrees, which sounds hot. I mean, 80 degrees is a warm day. It's certainly not jacket weather or anything like that, but it's still less than your skin. If you got a breeze and a fan going at 80 degrees, it's going to feel cold, but it's not. And at the same time, if you want to heat yourself up, you need something that's more than 95 degrees, which is why your space heater under your desk does a nice job, but it's blowing 100, 120 probably, because that's your skin temperature. So he's probably just got a fan. That's what Okay.
I'm thinking now, Todd. There are some technologies that don't use compressors to cool air, correct?
Well, yeah, there's all sorts of evaporative coolers and swamp coolers and stuff. And
Sure.
in a very dry environment, a swamp cooler is quite effective, especially if you can, if it's underground or somewhere you can keep the temperature of the water substantially less than the air temperature. They work great. In moist environments and humid environments, no. You need an evaporative system, or you need some way to generate the cold part of it. Whether it's by pouring ice into it or somehow or another rejecting a lot of heat. So it's depends on the environment that you're in.
Got it. So you think
coming through? So sorry about that.
no, it's all good.
Yeah.
But that size of a device, you don't think there's any type of additional swamp? He didn't mention that there's a swamp cooler. It's pretty hard to believe you'd have that small of a.
No, it's not big enough, and that's my point. It's like I think he's just got a fan in it, and that's what I think that's probably why he was avoiding the questions of the Sharks. I'm interested to learn. I've seen relatively small personal air conditioners that you plug in, for tents and campers and stuff that work off car batteries and that sort of thing. So I've seen them; they work. They're big, relatively big, like the size of a briefcase big, and they weigh 40 pounds because they're a proper air conditioner, and they've got a big compressor and a coil and a fan and everything else.
Yeah, and I know that there are some like chemical processes too for cooling purposes that are used in say car seats, right? For cooling car seats potentially. There's a chemical process, but I think those don't last terribly long, if I'm not mistaken.
No, listen, physics is based on conservation of energy, conservation of mass, and everything else. I mean, he's got to go somewhere. So
sure,
it's that's the long and short of it. The heat's got to go somewhere. So if you're blowing cold air in there with an evaporative system, then there's going to be waste heat that's got to be rejected somewhere.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at their most recently issued patent here. This one got issued just last year. This is for heat transfer effect and a sensation of cooling. How about that?
Not actual cooling, a sensation of cooling.
That's exactly what I just said. If you blow 80-degree air on 95-degree skin, you get the sensation of cooling. Is it cooling?
So I like it.
Right. The ambient air in your bedroom might not. It's probably less than what's between the sheets. Probably. Of course, you could just take the sheets off or the blanket off. That's the way I do it.
Or you just sleep on top of the sheets like my wife did last night up here at the cabin.
By the way, the guy, the Sharks had, a remarkable thing that they said is like, I'm always hot, my wife's always cold. Do you know how many times I heard that when I was doing customer discovery? I mean, yeah, right. And here's the thing that I heard a lot, unprovoked, I didn't ask the question. How many, 40-ish-year-old women came up to me and said, "Oh, that would be great for my hot flashes." It's like, oh, that's a market we probably need to look at because, that I didn't ask. That's just what they offered up. It's a problem they have. It's okay.
Very
Interesting.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, good. Thank you for that. And so, how did you do some of that research? I'm curious. I mean, did you go hire an agency to help you with some of those?
No, I enjoy talking to people about stuff like this. I just enjoy talking to people about there's a program that is sponsored or invented by the National Science Foundation (NSF), called ICOR, and they try to bring business into the classroom and teach them how to do what's called customer discovery. And there's the challenge. There's a couple of challenges, but in my view, the challenge is doing interviews with people who are your potential target customers without going into how the thing works, or for that matter, even what it is. I was working with a group of aerospace engineers that invented a dimple pattern for a golf ball that, all things being equal, the golf ball would fly a little bit further. Interesting. Okay. We are not talking about dimple patterns, and we're not talking about, for that matter, golf balls. We're talking about what it is about the golf ball that you're using on Saturday that makes you want to use that golf ball. Is it the fact that it goes further? Is that really a big thing? Is it something that people would pay extra money for? And it turns out they were not going to be the next Titleist. I mean, they were going to be able to license that technology to a golf ball maker, maybe. But there's a lot more that goes into that purchase than just how far the ball goes.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What was that resource again? I don't know if I was able to hear it.
iCore, was it?
iCore. Yeah, ICOR. Yeah, ICOPRS. iCorps. I-Corps. It's basically you have to be accepted. There's regional programs all over the country, maybe all over the world, and they teach lean startup methods to people who have new technologies that.
You get that right? Sorry,
yeah, you got it.
And it's funded by the National Science Foundation.
Yeah,
very cool. Love that. Thank you for that.
Yeah, there's inherent problems with the way they're doing things. The biggest one is the people that they want to bring into their classroom are typically not the people that go out and just talk to strangers and about things that are not directly related to their field. And when I went and started talking about the golf balls, the question is not about dimple patterns or how far they fly. It's like, why?
Feedback on your end.
Yeah. But and some interesting things came through. It's like a lot of people liked the way the golf ball felt and the way it sounded when it was hit, and had nothing to do with dimple patterns or anything else. But all of that information was interesting enough to get these scientists to understand they're not going to be in the golf ball business, But they needed to learn about that before saying, "Hey, I got a golf ball that's going to fly further." So, oh yeah, that's not who's going to say no to a golf ball that's going to fly further unless that's not that interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
For me, I'm very much an amateur. As long as the ball goes straight, I would be happy.
People, that's exactly it. I mean, people they went out to public courses and started talking about the people, the golf balls that are in their bag, and they got a lot of different answers, and none of them had to do with how far the ball was going. I'm out here to have fun. I want to hit it straight. I don't want to get it lost. I buy used balls because I'm such a bad golfer. Half of them wind up in the lake, or whatever. There's a lot of different things that go along with that,
Very cool. Well, guys, we're at the end of our hour here. Todd, thank you so much for being an awesome guest, for coming on, sharing more than we asked. And for Matt, myself, and Bill Patents, wish you guys a good week. If you missed us, we're here next week, every Wednesday, 1:30 Pacific on the Bold Inventor Show. Have a great week, everybody. Go big, go bold.